Good morning and cheers, my AKAPADers. Welcome back to the channel. Here we go. We're talking Star Wars today. This is what I'd like to call the golden era of Star Wars. It's pretty much like you have Return of the Jedi over here, and then over here you have the Star Wars special editions, and outside the frame in this direction, it's like prequels and then new trilogy. There was a sweet spot when it comes to Star Wars lore that, as the years have marched on, I completely have fallen in love with it. Now, I was always aware of it. I had some books around it. I'm going to show you those in a couple seconds. But realistically, I think I was naive to what Star Wars was at one point. To me, it was always prevalent, like watch the movies all the time, had some of the toys, so on and so forth. But the material that was coming out, it's very interesting, I will say. It's interesting when we compare it to what we have today. This is some good stuff. So what's the golden era of Star Wars? This is the golden age. Heir to the Empire, Timothy Zahn. The Guide to the Star Wars Universe. Star Wars Dark Empire, Dark Horse Comics. Secrets of Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire, but the Secrets book. This is these books here, this mosaic, if you will. This is the golden age. Now, even if we get into the Guide to the Star Wars Universe, I go again, like as the years go on, I find myself going back to this more and more. See, we have the Boba Fett entry here. And the Boba Fett entry is legitimately, it's heartbreaking. Even here, a group of evil warriors who were defeated by the Jedi Knights during the Clone Wars. But his connection to the Mandalorian warriors remains a mystery. Isn't that, like, right? So Boba Fett was a soldier that was taken out by the Jedi Knights during the Clone Wars. And then he's also a Mandalorian. And his connection to... I mean, guys, good stuff. And dare I say, we have unraveled too much around the Star Wars lore. Very little mystery is left. And speaking of mystery, we get some really cool tidbits in here. So, off the bat, I have to say, art by Ralph McQuarrie. Ralph McQuarrie is the concept artist of concept artists. He's the guy that did the cover here. He's the guy, here we go. Here, this is him painting Luke on the Tauntaun for the Empire Strikes Back. You guessed it, concept artwork. Here's Ralph McQuarrie here, showing off the construction of multiple Death Stars. Isn't that wild? With a Imperial shuttle. Here's Ralph McQuarrie. I was drawing something for potentially, I guess, like the Ewoks animated, not animated, the live action Ewok movies. Right? There was two of them. Battle for Endor, I forget the other one. Or this could have been concept artwork for Return of the Jedi. This Ewok right here is flipping the hell out. He's running for his life. Poor little guy. I like this one too. This one has like some type of helmet on it. So he's the guy behind Star Wars. Now, we argue a lot on this channel about who created what, right? We're having a similar discussion with Bob Kane right now, with the Bob Kane, the Joker, all these claims, all these acquisitions, and we're slowly like dissecting that. Can we argue that Ralph McQuarrie is the co-creator of Star Wars? Just baseline on the way how we look at some of these things. I would say yes, with some of that logic, but wholeheartedly, I would agree that it's not. So it can go both ways, but at the same time, this is a cheap entry into the work of Ralph McQuarrie. A lot of times, this guy's work has been reproduced in a lot of different ways, and those books are very pricey. They're too pricey in my mind. The Illustrated Star Wars Universe is a cheap entry into the work of Ralph McQuarrie. Here we have, this is a cool thing. Cloud City had animals at one time, and the cloud cars were blue. Which, like the orange works for the cloud car pirates, but we see, and we're going to see it later, that there's like a whole thread of like animal creature, like utilities, like buses and transportation, and it's really like European comic book stuff. Here we have Yavin, and look, isn't this cool? Like just the shape, it almost like it's one rising and like one setting, so it's like daytime and nighttime. It's cool. He is a complete visionary, and this book like brings us through the worlds of Star Wars. So just for example, and I want to get to the good stuff, Tatooine. Here's the cool thing. This is written in universe, and the author of this section is right here. So every environment has their own author and their own description and their own biography for that author. Again, very Star Wars 90s. But here's Ralph McQuarrie. So again, if we're into concept design work, what Ralph McQuarrie did, and he said this in interviews, he's pulled back the camera and shown the entire world. And he did that so that they could sell the script. And the idea was to like draw scenes from the script, sell it, right? And don't worry about how we're going to do it. Just paint it. So here too, like, we have all of these nice Tatooine shots. We have Jabba's palace over here. There's some nice Ewok concept design work from those live action movies I spoke about earlier coming up. I think this book, this is a $3 to $4 book, and it is well worth every single penny. It's worth more. Like even here, like the Gamorrean pig lady guard, but the kids are like wrestling. This dude's just trying to get #lit. Trying to order some drinks. So we get this like Eastern flavor for a lot of Jabba's palace and like the highs and the lows of Tatooine. Which, like, you think we would have seen a little bit more of that with Book of Boba Fett. And I didn't get a sense of that. But see, I like stuff like this. Like the guy with the hat. Like these guys with like, look, they have like cybernetic tentacles hanging out from the back of their heads. The famous spider droid, who I believe was a mail away at one point for the Power of the Force line. The Jawas bard. So you guys get like a sense of how this book is put together. But look at this. Like the trading post of the Jawas, which is like bigger than, their giant excavator. Look, we have Jawas here, like, I don't know, sleeping, hunting something. I don't know, staying cool, staying in the shade. But see, like, this is like the cool stuff. Like, again, just like endless salvage. So here we go. We're getting right into it. So at this point, we haven't laid eyes on Coruscant. This is the first time we have any visual of Coruscant. Quick pencil drawings here. So some of this design work too is like very early design work, to where like they might have had scenes or ideas. I mean, they have an Imperial shuttle here, so can we say we were going to see Coruscant in Return of the Jedi? I'm sure some people more familiar with the making of all of these, because so much about the original trilogy is documented. But like, feel free to correct me in anything down below that. That's what she said. I do my best. I try and do some pre-research if I have time. But a lot of what we do here on Saturdays is just me, I I had the video, for example, I had a video to drop today. I'm bumping it for this just because Star Wars is like on everyone's mind. But feel free to correct me. But yeah, and a lot of this concept design work that we want to say, right? I mean, it's got to predate episode 1, which is right here, right? Like, it's got to predate episode 1. Because this, like, what? Let's just see when. I mean, we know the movie came out in 1999. Yeah, 1999. So we're like 4 years ahead. And I don't think that production artwork is in here. We can do like a couple quick flip throughs. I don't see it. Isn't that wild? See, like here, it's like we get a little bit more into Coruscant here. See? So this is from like Star Wars Episode 1, and then this is from this book. Yeah, Coruscant, the city planet. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So they were chipping away at what Coruscant was supposed to look at for, you want to say, like 5 years. But look at this, like very much like more dark, less hopeful. But this is also the Imperial Coruscant. The one from Episode 1 is the Old Republic Coruscant. But see, like these are clear storyboards, right? These are storyboards. So it was, but look at the nightlife. Like, this is where I hate to say it, but give the AI people everything they need and plug all of this stuff in and put some of these scenes, and you can actually create characters. Like, use AI and weave more of a original trilogy tale to incorporate, like, for example, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, all of it. Like, yeah, you can continuously add and bleed out Star Wars, and I want to say they should do it, but this is awesome. Like this Imperial Court, and what's awesome to me about it is we can see the sun, right? Like the light source is here, so it cuts on the inside of these buildings, but then again, maybe like we're curved a little bit, so we get more of the orange here. Really cool stuff in here. Like, again, like that's we would call this in the biz a mood drawing. This is just a mood drawing. So we go from like the mood sketch or the mood thumbnail to the final piece. These are the pipelines. So they say that Coruscant as a city gets the water pumped into it by ice chunks. So it's just like glaciers that they pump into the city for aqua. Again, like some of this, like, you know, like I would say, like we've seen some of this in Episode 3. Like another early, like Falcon-like ship. So and they're all like, we see they're all Ralph McQuarrie. So some of this is like, we have to say, now this one, Squarespace space construction platforms are remarkable examples of imperial industrialness. These giant-sized habitation spheres are designed and assembled strictly for peacetime purposes. So, okay, so maybe at one time, visually, they were building like what could have led to the Death Star. These are like peace moons. To me, they look like Death Stars. But like, right? Like, real, and this is like 70s sci-fi paperback cover type design. Droids. So this was like our first real look at Coruscant. And I want to say, probably at one time, this was a high in demand book, which blows me away because they've added so much to Star Wars. they compacted the significance of this book down. So outside of Coruscant, we have, and hey, lucky me, I was able just to flip right through. We have Alderaan. So technically this, page 189, our first glimpse ever of Alderaan, right here. And we see a lot of this, right? Kind of in the beginning of Rogue One, we'll say, when the guy's like just like a farmer. But see, this is what I mean about the creature. See, like it's like a bus, very Mobius, right? Like Mobius would draw stuff like that. And then they would have these zeppelins. This looks like a Chris Foss zeppelin. So Coruscant was like green and blue, peaceful, big, like high grass, like high green grass lands. Very flowy. See, and these were insect towers. And then we see one of them a little bit more industrialized. So again, the insect part of this, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So I have to go back and check. I don't like what I know. We have some shots of Alderaan in Episode 3, but I assume in the Obi-Wan series, right, we have Alderaan there. Visually, I can't picture what's featured in that series, if it's anything to compare to this. But this is what. But here's the wild thing: when we thought about Alderaan, like before this point, this is what we envisioned. So there was this immediate connection with, like, almost collectively what we thought of the characters and the things that they've said and what. So this is where a lot of the blowback to episodes 1, 2, and 3 came from, because we thought we knew what the Clone Wars were. When it comes to Book of Boba Fett, we thought we knew maybe, like, you know, or even Star Wars Episode 2, the origin or what Boba Fett was to a point. That's, I think, where stuff gets crazy. This is like, look at this design work for Return of the Jedi. So we go through, we have all the other environments here. This is some of the Ewok stuff I was talking about earlier. I don't know if anyone's collected the Ewok live action movies as, like, you know, like as a book. I don't think that's ever happened, but this is published concept design work of the Ewok live action stuff, which expanded all the lore of the Ewoks. You know, like Endor got a full expansion with those 2 movies. This is one insanely valuable, cheap book, my AKAPADers. And it is a great introduction. I'll leave you guys with this, because I didn't want this one to be, like, too long. See here in Hoth how, like, they cut into... these look like speed lines, but it's actually how they cut into the ice and into the mountain to create Echo Base. Early lane speeder there, much smaller. Like, but high concept stuff. Look, these are the Imperial troopers being sneaky around the power, because you got to blow up the power. You got to take the shields away. Again, like lane speeder, just like like, you know, like nowadays we would say this is charging like a Tesla, don't get triggered. But I think here, right there, it's either gas, fuel. It's you know, like, it's good. It's really good stuff. Now this one, I don't know if I don't think McQuarrie, maybe he draws this, maybe, because in the back here we have, like, additional, like, these are additional credits, I guess, that they needed as they were publishing the book. And they added, so maybe like at one time this entire book was Ralph McQuarrie, but then they added to it, right? And a lot of the names that they added is Joe Johnston, who directed that new ILM documentary, Light and Magic, that's on Disney Plus. He's also the director of Rocketeer, Captain America: First Avenger. So the point I was getting at, but look at this. Like, what is... Oh, yeah, this is Yavin. This is like the Imperial base in Yavin. Like, doesn't that look like Snoke? But the point I was trying to get at with that Wampa, we'll get back to it, is I say this a lot, AK patters, you cannot illustrate everything dead on. Creatures is a tough thing to a lot of people. Drawing animals, very tough, very tough. As we can see here. Not quite there. But well rendered though, well rendered. Yeah, AK patters. Just wanted to share this with you guys. I know Star Wars has been on the hearts and minds of a lot of you out there. And I wanted to kind of go back to really what I like to call the golden era of Star Wars, which is mid-90s. Let's go.